Opinión, yo soy Paco y les cuento, estuvimos en la FIL, en una rueda de prensa con Jame Dashner. Ustedes quizás no lo ubiquen, pero sea el autor de Maze Runner, sí, es tanto libro como película. Y no tuvimos la oportunidad de tener una entrevista en directo, pero pues sí, hablamos con él, pudimos hacerle algunas preguntas y pues se los dejo. Había tardado mucho, la FIL fue en diciembre. Pero ya saben, eso de subtitular, recortar, grabar, pues fue lo difícil, pero espero que lo disfruten.
Hola. Hello. I am very happy to be here. You know, ever since the Maze Runner came out, it has been very obvious that I have a lot of readers here in Mexico. And it's, from the very beginning, they've been very vocal and very passionate on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And everyone has just seemed so kind and loving and accepting. So I've really been looking forward to finally coming here to visit all my readers. So this is going to be a great weekend. I'm very excited about the new book. Código Cruel. My Spanish
Resulta difícil pronunciarlo en español.
Is she making fun of my Spanish? No, one of these days I am going to learn Spanish, I promise. But anyway, it's a prequel to The Maze Runner, but I feel like it was the perfect way to bring closure to this series. As you know, some people don't quite survive to the very end of the Maze Runner books, and people let me hear about that all the time. But in the new book, they're all alive, and so it's like some of them have been resurrected. But it's really fun to experience all these characters together. It's very intriguing what happened to them leading up to the maze. And even though it's a prequel, I think you will find that there are many surprises that perhaps will make you look at the original trilogy in a different way. So I'm very excited for people to read it. And I'm just very honored and blessed to be here in Mexico with all of you. Thank you. Sadly, yes. Yeah, I think, you know, obviously my books are greatly exaggerated. Like everything is to the extreme. But it's certainly, I mean, we're already seeing that the world, you know, environmentally is in trouble. Which, you know, that's a big part of the Maze Runner series is the environmental collapse. But also we see a lot of things with viruses that are just so scary. Zika virus, Ebola, bird flu. I mean, to me it's not far-fetched at all to imagine a virus just wiping us out. Real happy thought, right? But yeah, I think that's why books like The Maze Runner and The Hunger Games and Divergent and a lot of these types of books, I think they're popular because it's just a different lens to look through, to look at our own world and our own selves. And of course, I mean, their main goal is to entertain you, help you escape life for a little bit. But they definitely make you think about our world and how we're screwing it up. We better figure out a way not to end up like some of these books and movies. Great question, young man. Well, first of all, I'll answer your first part of the question. I do feel like in this world today, there are many places in the world that seem like a dystopian novel or a post-apocalyptic novel. And I think, especially young people, you know, you believe you can change the world. and I think they can change the world. And so these books it's just kind of a different way to look at our own world and maybe try to prevent some of these things that are happening. But in English, yes, the book is called The Fever Code, and it's really just it's almost a metaphorical title, because they're trying to metaphorically break the code to find a cure for this disease. And fever is just a word that implies illness. And so that's why we called it Fever Code. And I know it's completely different in Spanish. It's referring more to, I guess, cruel is wicked, right?
Cruel digamos, es algo que se repite, es un personaje que se repite en la saga, y nos pareció a nivel editorial, como todos los libros, si los mirás, tienen una diferencia con el nombre en inglés, porque nos pareció que era mucho más lógico, más entendible o quizás más llamativo para representativo de lo que es el libro, el código cruel, y no el código fiebre, que no resultaba muy para nosotros bueno.
No. I think probably not. I mean, I've read the script, and the script was written before this book came out. But as you see in the other two movies, there are little glimpses of before they came. It's important, we have to keep book world and movie world separate, because the farther the movies go, the more differences there are. And that's okay. I have no problem with that. But I do believe that when the Death Cure movie, the third movie, is done, I think that Fox will want to do something with the prequels. Whether that's movies, television, I don't know, but I do believe someday the prequels will also have their day. So, fingers crossed. Cross fingers in Mexico. So, yeah. Well, I'm extremely excited to, I grew up in a very small town in Georgia in America, and to think that I could ever go to Guadalajara, Mexico, and 800 people would want to come hear what I have to talk about still just blows my mind. And I really, really love the young people, just their enthusiasm and how they get mad at me when someone dies, but then they tell me how much they love me because someone died and it made them feel something. And all the time I get tweets that say, I hate you, OMG, OMG, I love you. So I love the passion. I'm very excited to see such a core audience of my readers in one place. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yes, I do get asked about the movies a lot. I personally am extremely happy with the movies. The cast, the visuals, just the tone and spirit, the music of the films. I'm very happy with them. I think we got really lucky with our director and our cast. And we will start filming the third one soon. So it's going to be another fun couple of years. So thank you. Great question. Thank you. Well, I love movies very much. And when I write my books, I almost picture them as movies in my head and then figure out a way to write them on my laptop. So to me it seems natural to turn my books into movies. In fact, right now we're kind of sort of final. What did I say? I have news coming. I can't say it about some other books I wrote. But, you know, I've had a lot of friends who are authors who have also had movies made out of their books, and the movies were just terrible, awful, horrible. And they would be the first people to admit that. So it is risky. It's risky to have your book made into a movie. But I am always willing to take that risk because the books will never change. 20th Century Fox did not steal my books and change some of the words in the books. The books will always be the same. And the movies are, it's a way of experiencing the story for the first time again, which is something we usually don't get to do. Have you ever wished you could erase your brain and read a book again? I might be weird, but I think that all the time. And a movie is kind of like that. Especially with the Maze Runner movies, the characters are there, the basic story is there, it feels right, but then something will happen that you were not expecting, even if you've read the books. And I kind of like that. It's an interesting way to experience it for the first time again. So I'm not sure I'm totally answering your question, but for my books, I always have a hope deep down that they'll be made into movies. And it looks like there's a promising future for that with some other books that I might have written. So we'll see. They come from the very twisted and dark mind of Jame Dashner. I've always been fascinated by things that are part animal, part machine. I hate things that are slimy, like slugs and worms. Like, I'm not your typical boy, I guess, because I hate lizards. Like slimy skin is always, I hate. There's a million little things like that inspired this creature that I would absolutely be terrified of. And to think of this moist skin and suddenly like blades pop out of it, I mean, there's just nothing pleasant about these creatures. And you notice this is a difference between the books and the movies. In the books, they don't have a face. To me, that really symbolizes that they are just purely created to terrorize these people. You can't look them in the eye. You can't talk to them. There's nothing even remotely human about them. And that, to me, that makes their purpose more clear, that they were just created to be a variable in this experiment. Now, in the movies, they're very different, but I absolutely love the movie grievers. Absolutely love them. I feel like they took the spirit of what they are in the book and made them giant, cinematic, terrifying, more visceral, in-your-face creatures. And I was very happy with them. But yeah, it was a long process of taking all the things that I'm scared of and combining them into one really nasty, hideous creature that might be under your bed tonight. Oh, definitely. That was always my intention and my hope, is that people of all ages would read the books. See, when I was a teenager, very, very long time ago, I loved Stephen King. Any Stephen King fans? Okay. I loved Stephen King. And, you know, I don't think he ever thought, oh, this book will be good for teenagers and this book will be good for adults. He just wrote really cool stories. Sometimes his characters were young people, sometimes they were old people. So when I write my books, I like having young characters because I have a lot of faith in young people and what they can accomplish. But I never write it so that, you know, I don't ever think that teenagers are stupid, so I better write my books really simple so they can read it. Most teenagers are smarter than I am. So I just write the best story I can And I think that's why it appeals to adults just as much as teenagers. It's just a good story is a good story, right? And so one of the most rewarding things about this is that we have so many adults reading my books. It makes me very happy.